Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our first Ask Me Anything session for the MADE Internship Program 2021. We're really excited to have Andrew String and Ritika Agrawal here with us. They were both MADE interns this past summer. Andrew was with L'Oreal and Ritika was with NBC Universal. Andrew actually just got a full-time offer with L'Oreal, so we're very proud of him. And Ritika extended her internship through the fall. So they both clearly had very positive experiences with their respective companies, although, interesting experiences because of COVID and, things changed significantly. So they can talk more about that and more about their background and, advice for you guys. So I will turn the floor over to them. But before I do that, I do encourage you all to be on mute since we're a pretty large group. If you have a question, please raise your hand, on the Zoom function. I think it's like through the participant panel. Yes, through the participant panel, you can raise your hand. So do that. And then once you do, we'll call on you and you can come off mute and ask your question. Okay, awesome. So Andrew, why don't you kick it off by introing yourself?
Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming out, of course. My name is Andrew String. I'm a current senior at the University of Maryland studying government and politics and economics. So I am not a marketing major. I'm not even a business school major. I'm from South Jersey, big difference from North Jersey. South Jersey's better. I'm staying at home in my parents' basement for the semester. I decided to graduate early because of COVID. So my last month of schooling will be in January from, again, my parents' basement. And other than that, I guess just professionally, I've had internships at Ronald McDonald House, Human Rights Campaign, Special Olympics International, and then most recently at L'Oreal.
Yay, thank you. Okay, Ritika, you're up.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming and thank you for having us. My name is Ritika, but I mostly go by Ritz. I am a senior in advertising with minors in data science and design studies at Iowa State University. Like Sarah said, I was interning with NBC Universal for the summer as well as the fall, and I will be continuing to be with them for the spring as well. So I'm super excited about that. I'm currently in Chicago, but I've spent the last semester in Iowa, of course. But I've kind of been all over the place. I was born in New York and raised in India and Africa. I always like to bring that up. So kind of been all over the place. And yeah, professionally, with my internship, I also started a foundation called Young Media Professionals Foundation. And it was inspired by ANA and all of the mentors that I've had who really inspired me and helped me through the process. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for those lovely intros. So we can kick it off now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand and come off mute. Well, I'll call on you first and then you can come off mute. Lauren Lucart.
Hi, I was wondering if Andrew and Ritika could talk about what piece of industry knowledge that they gained from the MADE program that was the most beneficial.
I know for me personally, throughout the summer, MADE put on a kind of a virtual series, educational series, and one of the series focused around 5G and how it was going to be this whole big transformative industry, breaking technology. And it really stuck in my head because the presenter, I forget their name, but the presenter really hit home that point. And then later in my virtual learning academy with L'Oreal, they talked about 5G and I was so knowledgeable on it. And I knew so much. And I had a conversation with an executive at L'Oreal, in a webinar series like this. And it was just kind of a great way to put my name on the map through the impactful educational series that MADE put on throughout the summer. So I would say the industry knowledge that I learned for me personally was the importance of 5G and how it's going to disrupt digital marketing.
I guess for me, like I've always been very interested about like how analytics works within advertising, and being in the creative industry, you immediately are thrown off when, people talk about analytics and like numbers, and you're like, you don't want to be dealing with this stuff. But I was always curious about it. And I know we had one of the web series that was very like, that spoke a lot about how insights is how marketing and advertising works. And I think that kind of intrigued me even more in understanding how that works. And just like Andrew, I was able to translate that into my internship a lot well. The industry leaders appreciate you more when you appreciate research and data. And I think that's so important just to acknowledge that fact. And I think overall, the summer web series, as well as the ANA marketing certificate that we did, was so informational. Like I cannot pinpoint on one thing. There's so many industry trends that I learned throughout my summer, but that was one of them that I really, really liked.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, Jordan Alperin, you're up.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking with us. I was just wondering, so I know you get a mentor through MADE. Could you both talk a little about your experience, or did you have a mentor in your internship that you formed?
So I can go first for this one, and then Ritz, you go first on the next one. So my mentor, funny story with this. So my mentor, so once you're accepted into the MADE program, they give you a list of all these industry leaders like to pick from, and they say like, give us your top 5. And I gave like my top 5 and everything. And the person who I selected, it was so excited. It was such a great relationship, or it was going to be such a great relationship, but it was towards the end of the semester and I got swamped with finals. I was working at Amazon warehouse at the time. It was like a rough time in my life. So like, obviously I didn't check my inbox that well. And actually Sarah pinged me saying, are you still interested in your mentor? She would be more than willing to meet with you, even though it was 2 or 3 weeks after the initial email. Definitely slacking on my end, very bad. But the relationship that I formed with my mentor, her name's Sydney, absolutely amazing. She's located up in Canada, so international, pretty cool. We still talk to this day. Literally had a Zoom call with her last week, just updating about her professional experience. She worked for Canada Goose, if you know what that is, like an apparel jacket company. She switched professions to the skincare company, pronounced Dechem or Deciem. I forget how to pronounce it. But absolutely wonderful mentorship opportunities. I love Sydney so, so much. She actually inspired me to work on a passion project this summer called 50 Coffee, 50 Days, where I interviewed 50 people across all different industries, if like the medical industry, marketing, hotel management, whatever you could imagine. I got to interview 50 people from across all those industries through LinkedIn, DMing them, and then setting up Zoom calls, all because of the conversations that I had with my mentor to really kind of plant those seeds and activate passion projects of my own. So I could not go off anymore about how wonderful my mentor is, a friend for life, and someone especially just in the industry that I can look up to about like salary negotiations, maybe climbing the corporate ladder or anything like that. So 100 out of 10 for my mentor.
That is so wonderful, Andrew. Like, wow. Same with my mentor. I had such a wonderful relationship with her. I also had someone in the analytics side because I was interested, and they worked for Discovery Inc., which was again like the entertainment space that I was working for. But something that was so special about mine was it was not only like, getting advice for professional life, career life, it was also a lot of personal development. And then since Andrew mentioned salary negotiations, how do women do it? Like, how can women make that mark in that space? I think those were some of the conversations we had. And then I'm also interested in grad school, and she's someone who is an MBA candidate right now while doing her full time. And I think that was super impressive. So just kind of learning all of that and kind of understanding what I want to do next in my career is so, so important. And like I said, personal development. So when you have that relationship with someone who is in the industry, you not only understand what they're doing, but also their journey. I think all of us, we're all in the same boat. We see someone on LinkedIn and we're like, oh my gosh, they've achieved so much, and we know how are we going to do that? But everybody has a journey and has a story to tell. So I think this mentorship program really helped us understand that story, and that everything is not impossible, that you can achieve it too. So it's wonderful, and I really thank Sarah and like Annie for doing this for us. It was super beneficial.
Wonderful. That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much. All right. Benjamin Pfister, you're up.
Hi guys. I just had a quick question about campaigns that you guys were involved in, specifically in your jobs. I know, Rit, you said you're more analytical, and I think that's kind of like a road I think I might want to go down. And I don't know, I just want to hear about like kind of start to finish, like if you guys worked on any campaigns there and what that was like.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't think I specifically worked on a campaign, because NBC is that space where it's more like entertainment focused and their programs focused. We had more day-to-day jobs. Like if you are interested in analytics, just kind of understanding cross-platform viewership and like how are the programs performing, what advertiser can be a part of like which program and whatnot. But one thing that we did was work on an intern project, and that was really interesting because we were helping a specific team acquire new businesses, and for that you do need insights. So I was kind of that one intern in insights and measurement, and I was able to really reroute the whole project and give them numbers. So I think that is something that I worked on, and yeah, you do spend a good 2 months working on one of those projects. Yeah, we didn't work specifically on campaigns, but if that was something you were looking for, it's pretty interesting.
Cool, thank you.
And I would say similar to your experience, my internship at L'Oreal, the internship, like the title of it, was officially canceled, but we had a virtual learning academy in lieu of that. And a part of the virtual learning academy, that kind of translate into not working on like officially on campaigns to see the work that you do translate to, I don't know, a TV commercial or like print ad or whatnot. But through the Virtual Learning Academy, we did 2 case studies, and one was pick a product and pitch it to an emerging market. So me and my team, we did the Revitalift skin cream series, and we pitched it into Thailand. And L'Oreal is very big on sustainability. So it was like, how do you make it the most sustainable? So we transformed it into powder form, and we did a lot with like the culture of Thailand and all kind of great stuff. So super great experience through like creative like thinking and really working through a problem. And then the second case study I did was an individual case study, and you had to create a go-to-market strategy for the SCTLC nail polish line. And what I came up with was partnering with the National Park Service, and it was called, my tagline was naturally strong, naturally beautiful. And it was about like getting outdoors, being one with Mother Nature, but also like being beautiful. So it was really interesting. I'm not sure if it's what they were looking for per se, but definitely I got the experience of what it was to kind of work on a campaign that I led. So super great experience, but not necessarily tangible in the sense that they aren't going to run with this idea and you're going to see it on TV tomorrow.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. I'm going to go to the chat box real quick because we have a couple questions in there and I don't want to ignore you guys. So Milana, I see you have a question. What was your experience with other MADE interns during your tenure? And we'll let Ritz go again first.
Yeah, for sure. I think Annie hosted so many events where we had a lot of bonding, which was amazing. I was lucky. I had 2 other MADE interns within the NBCU program, and they were in my team for the group project. So that was a lot of fun because you get to speak with them, see where they are, learn what they're doing, and everybody does not come from the same background as you are. I know that because we were in a virtual environment, I think it was kind of blessing in disguise because we got to interact with people from literally all over the world. I remember there was someone, I think, working in Singapore like at 3 a.m., which was amazing. And I think just having that bond and knowing that you not only have connections in your professional space, but you also have connections with other interns and people like yourselves that are sailing in the same boat. So yeah, I think, again, Annie is always doing a fantastic job with that.
And I would say similar to my experience as well. I think, I mean, like, I don't know, but I think like we had it really rough, like our intern class, especially not knowing what like the summer would look like my internship being like ripped from my hands for one. It was like a really hard spring semester. And like this was going to be my internship to get a full-time position, which it worked out, thank goodness. But just so much work for the past like three years going into landing this amazing internship and then everything being uprooted. For me personally, what the MADE interns have done was kind of like establish a support group that I knew I wasn't going through this alone. And I know that sounds so cheesy. And obviously it's a world pandemic, like everyone's being affected by this, but I could directly kind of pinpoint saying, these individuals on the Zoom call right now know exactly what I'm going through and the pain that we had to go through. So for me, it was most definitely like an emotional support system that really helped me, I think, in the long run.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. I love hearing that. Okay, Adriana Hernandez, we're gonna kick it to you now.
Hi. So I just wanted to know if you ever had any doubts within your abilities throughout the program, and what are like some tips you would give to get those fears out?
I can go with this. I think throughout the process, you're like always so overwhelmed. And yes, there are days when you think others are better. And I think with one thing that I taught myself is to stop comparing yourself with others. Everybody has their strengths, everybody has their weaknesses. Compare yourself with what you were maybe 6 months ago. And that way you're always going to feel encouraged. That is like one of my biggest tips that I taught myself this summer and also in the fall, because you not only have an internship now, but you're also a full-time student, which you weren't over the summer, and that can get super overwhelming. And then additionally, I think just being knowledgeable, like learning new things every day is so important so that you can have those conversations with other people, especially in the industry. And obviously you're not going to know everything, but just knowing a little bit is very important. So learn every day and then compare yourself to what you were 6 months ago, not with someone else.
And I would say this isn't maybe like the best advice for every individual, but you need to like find the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, act as though you have it. I'm a government and economics double major, nothing to do with business. I had one marketing class for like my business minor that I'm dropping, like not even using that anymore. So I think the confidence that I had in like my interview space through my applications, I think really translated to the recruiters. And I think surrounding yourself with people who are supportive, like the MADE internship group, like they just empower you to be better and just to be confident in who you are. And I never once felt like necessarily like I wasn't up to par with other like marketing students or I didn't know certain things. I think mostly because I just had that mindset of they picked me for a reason, maybe my diverse experience or maybe my demeanor or just whatever I bring to the table, they saw it and they have the opportunity to quite literally pick from thousands of other students and they picked me. So they picked me for a reason. I just have to figure out what that reason was.
Great answer. Okay. You guys are really killing it, I must say. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat. Kaylin has a question. So can you go through a typical day for you during your internship?
I can go first because mine's like boring, not fun. So mine translated again to the Virtual Learning Academy. It was going to be a full-time internship, 9 to 5 or whatever in New York City, which was super excited for. Translated into a Virtual Learning Academy, which meant 3 to 4 1-hour webinar series a week. And it was with either a L'Oreal executive, because it was across all different divisions of like operations, supply chain, marketing, or a marketing executive. So we met like, I didn't really have a day-to-day. I had a week-to-week, and it would have been, again, 3 to 4 1-hour meetings. That being said, when you're looking at internships, I think you guys have an advantage. When you look at internships for the summer of 2021, look how they treated their interns in the summer of 2020. for good or for bad, to see if that's the kind of experience that you want. Because again, love L'Oreal, had a full-time offer from it. It worked out for me, but they only offered, I think, 13 jobs out of the 35 marketing interns. So for the other 20 plus interns, they had to go throughout the summer, go through the virtual learning academy, and a job didn't result in it. And it was a wonderful experience. I'm not saying that, but if you're looking for like a full-time position, which we all should be, then you really do have to like look at past like history, see how they support their interns. I think that's all like very, very important.
Thank you.
That is very true. I think for me, I didn't have like one day did not look the same throughout. I definitely had my day-to-day project that I was working on. But apart from that, NBC really had an amazing campus programs team. We had events, trivias, and whatnot almost every week. And then we also got our like interns could actually speak with executive vice presidents. I also got to speak to the chairman of ad sales, NBCU, which is huge. She's almost like a celebrity in the industry. So I was almost like fangirling over her when I got to talk to her. And those were some of the days, like while you're working on your day-to-day like project and whatnot, but there's always some fun element. And I really appreciated that about NBC Universal, because while I would have loved to work in 30 Rock, I got to experience that even in a virtual setting. We had like fireside chats with Aaron Lim and all the hosts that are there of NBC Universal. And then in terms of projects, like I said, I was working for Insights and Measurement. So I was very much aligned with what the NBC Entertainment program was. And then aligning advertisers with the programs that would best meet their needs. And then we also worked on that intern project that I mentioned. I saw that you asked what my favorite thing was. I think my favorite project was the intern project. And that's because I got to work with so many different people from different disciplines. I also got to interact with different teams within NBC Universal, which is very, very important, especially when you're working for such a large company that has 300 interns and so many more departments within. So I think that is an advice that I would give, that no matter where you go and where you work, try and meet different people from different disciplines, because you're an intern and you don't know what you want to maybe do next. So that is like a good way of exploring your opportunities as well while you're in the company.
Okay, awesome. All right. Madeline Vore, you're up.
Hi. So this question's mostly for Andrew. Something that I get nervous about, I'm also not a marketing major or anything related. I'm animal behavior. And so that to me is kind of scary. So I'm glad to hear that you didn't feel like you felt like you were behind anybody else. But I was wondering what sort of things outside of your courses, or what made you marketable for your internship and for the MADE internship as well.
I think, well, thank you for asking the question. I think I was talking to someone earlier today, and what I was saying, like the one thing about marketing and why it kind of worked out for me is because very early in my application stage, I could identify how I fit with marketing and how marketing fits with me. And that's through my extracurricular experiences. A very, very long story short, I ran for student government at my school, University of Maryland. It was very bad, very messy. And in direct response to that, I decided to create my own class called Designing Ethical Campaigns. And I get to teach other undergraduate students about important decision-making, but still keeping true to your ethics and your morals. And that, in addition to, I have my own radio show, in addition to being an RA, my ability to self-start is kind of how I kind of phrased or like pitched myself to MADE and also to L'Oreal. And I think figuring out those ways to kind of take that self-starting narrative into the world of marketing is how I kind of sold myself. So I think you really do need to ask yourself again, how do you fit with marketing, but how does marketing fit with you? And then I think you'd be better off, to be honest.
Great answer. Okay, we have another really good question in the chat from Winnie. So what advice would you give to your younger self about being part of the MADE program before you started it?
You can go first, Ritz, yeah.
Okay, that's a really, really good question. Oh my gosh. One thing that I would have told my younger self is I guess to first fake it till you make it. I think I lacked confidence. And then second is saying yes to every opportunity. My career officially began when I said yes to the Washington Media Scholars Case Competition. It was a media plan case competition, and I did not even know the M of media planning, but I just said yes to it and I went ahead. And little did I know I was going to DC that summer, and it kind of kicked off everything for me. I got introduced to being involved in student organizations that summer, and kind of took jump started my career then. So I think just fake it till you make it, and then also be involved. Understand what you like to do and go for it. Like, stop doubting yourself. I think that is something that I would think of. There's actually so many things, but these are the top 2 things I can think of right now.
And I would say the one thing I wish I knew so I didn't beat myself up so much is that everyone's on a different timeline. And you need to really, really digest that people will get offers, or people already have offers, like November 15th, they have an offer for a summer internship. I didn't get my offer until February 28th. So at L'Oreal, which is a great company, love it so much. But I started talking to some of the marketing interns at L'Oreal. They're like, oh yeah, we knew end of October. So again, everyone's on their different timelines. So please do not feel down if you see people posting on LinkedIn, doing all that stuff. And then I would say, in addition to that, if you put in the work and you can genuinely tell yourself, I'm doing everything that I possibly can, reaching out to people on LinkedIn, having a personal website, making sure your resume is up to date, all that kind of great stuff, a job or an internship, it will happen. It will. Someone will see that you can put in the work, you put in the effort, and you will just be a cut above the rest, just from the sheer fact that you're putting in the work. So really look in a mirror, reflect on your time and say, am I doing the absolute most of what I can be doing? And if you are, then it'll all work out. And I wish I told myself that a few years ago, just so I was on the bandwagon earlier, but those are my piece of advice.
I just wanted to add into that, the whole process of internships is very, very overwhelming. Just like Andrew said, some people get their internships and some don't. I was also one of them who had to wait till February. But in the meantime, if you think that you want to start something of your own, or you want to do something creative, just like even a passion project, go ahead and do it. People are going to appreciate that. And then secondly, networking is so, so important. I wish I started that earlier, and it will always pay off, not only in your career, but also in your personal development. So always keep networking. And in this whole virtual setting, people are more than happy to help. So just send that LinkedIn message, email if you have their emails, it will always help you.
Okay, great advice. Thank you. Okay, Francine Sai, you want to ask your question?
Hello. So I'm hearing a lot of great things to take into consideration, oh, you have to be the way that we did it was we were being proactive and we had the confidence. But I would like to ask, from your experience within the program, what do you feel in your career development that has changed? And this could be finding more about your specific dream jobs or paths that you want to pursue, or finding more about yourself. And I think within for the program, it's with MADE as well as the internships or learning experiences that you went through. And this is for anybody.
I think for me, I think what I learned that I didn't learn previously is that almost any profession that you go into has the foundation of marketing. And what I mean by that is that how I view marketing is the ability to build community around storytelling. And I think at any job that you're at, if it's either internal or external, you need to be able to build connections, build community. And that's by talking to one another, building that connection. So for me, definitely it was, I didn't know marketing was for me until I came to that epiphany. And I'm like, holy crap, I need to start off my career in marketing. Definitely for me personally, I don't see myself long-term going into being an executive in marketing. I mean, who knows? But I essentially want to do corporate social responsibility and kind of building that nonprofit mindset into the for-profit world. So I knew that's where I want to be, but I definitely need to refine my ability to storytell, pitch my ideas, sell people on whatever product I'm selling. to ensure that I can make that impact that I want to make in the future.
Wow, yeah. I think for me, I think throughout this call also I've mentioned how much I've been interested in like analytics and insights, but I've realized that I don't want to be the one, on Excel. I don't want to be the one figuring out the numbers all the time. I want to be able to use the numbers and execute it in strategy. And that is something that I have learned about myself, which is very important because my last 2 internships in the fall and the summer were very focused on numbers. So because I was able to communicate and tell my recruiters what I was really looking for and also express myself in the interviews, I'm getting a business operations in strategy internship next semester. And because that is something I do want to do, I think gaining experience is of utmost importance. So whether I was getting that internship with NBC Universal or not, it's always nice to keep figuring out and doing things. So I've been doing a lot of like fun content creation, digital creation, and just kind of understanding that space as well. So I can take those next steps in the future and also tell recruiters that, hey, this is what I've been working on, and I would like to try this out in your industry as well. So I think those are some of the things that I've learned and I've been doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Back to the chat. Raymond has a great question. How did you balance being an intern at your company and also the MADE internship program as well?
Mine's like such a boring answer, but like I'm always like out and about doing stuff, like always trying to like keep busy. And with COVID hitting, like everything stopped. So I really invested my time into the virtual learning academy for L'Oreal and for everything that MADE had. We had like a Facebook group that we kept active in the summer that we try to connect with everyone. So for me, the balance was super easy. Not sure how internships are going to look like in the summer 2021, but for the summer 2020, it was more than capable of balancing all this.
Yeah, I completely agree with Andrew. I think I like being proactive and seeing what opportunities I have, especially with what experiences I've had in the past. So I know that it's important to stay involved. So that's kind of what I did. I would like everything's on my laptop. So I would keep hopping on and hopping off. I think that's how I stayed connected with both. It was super easy, but I would have loved to experience the whole New York lifestyle as well.
Yeah, and just a point on that, all of the MADE resources and programs that we run are all optional because we know that you all are busy, and especially if you're interning, you have other priorities maybe. So everything is optional. So we don't want to stress you guys out or, make you guys feel like you have to choose between your internship and the program. Okay, great. So let's see. Let's go to Ashley Kitchak.
Hi, thank you both for being here and asking questions. So I had a question. Marketing is continuously evolving. So what resources or tools did the MADE program help you with to learn more about like technologies or innovations in the industry, especially in analytics? I'm really interested in that portion. So if you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, for sure. I think one, Annie has a wonderful marketing certificate that Sarah, are we having that this semester?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you should do that because you not only understand about like marketing, but also social media strategies. Digital is like the new thing that's going to be, just scaling. So definitely that certificate. Secondly, there are a lot of LinkedIn learning courses that I would recommend. You can literally search marketing analytics. I don't know specific names on the top of my head, I'm sorry, but doing LinkedIn courses should definitely help you. And then I'm trying to think, I guess, yeah, just staying up to date with industry trends. I think these 3 things are extremely important to know what's happening in the marketing space and especially analytics. Oh, and one more thing, there's a Google digital marketing course that I did, it was very helpful, especially in like the whole marketing, analytics, and social space.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Andrew, do you want to piggyback on that or no?
I was going to say Ritz is the expert on analytics.
Yeah, okay. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go to Madeline's question. What was something unexpected that you gained from the MADE program? And also, her second question is, what was your experience interviewing at your companies through MADE? Great questions.
What was the
Andrew.
first one again? I'm sorry.
The first one was there, what was something unexpected that you gained from the program? And the second question was, what was your experience interviewing through the program?
Okay, so something that was like unexpected. I mean, I'll be 100% frank, my story with like MADE. I was in that marketing class for my business minor that I was talking about. And my professor literally said, it was a class of like 100 people. As we were walking out the door, they said, I'm going to send you an announcement for this internship opportunity. Check it out. And all of us are like running out because we're done with class. And I check my email. It's the MADE internship. And I really didn't think anything of it. And I applied to it, like putting my best foot forward, trying to be proactive early in September. And it worked out. I got placed as a MADE intern. I was super excited, but I didn't know what that really meant until, and this is where the unexpected part kind of comes up. MADE is so supportive with getting your foot in the door at such high level companies that you just don't have that access with anywhere else. It's essentially, you have a referral to all these top companies, which I think is amazing. You don't get that anywhere else. I think MADE sent out when it was time to send out my application, I think to 20 plus like companies, like high level, like Nissan was one, Lowe's, I forget the rest, but a ton of company, L'Oreal being one of them. And then I guess transitioning into your second part of the question, my interview for my internship at L'Oreal actually went like extremely poorly, very, very bad. I actually emailed Sarah like after it saying, I can't believe this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. The interviewer was like 10 minutes late. Like it was just like a very, very poor experience. But I think that goes to say, if you think you had a really bad internship or interview experience, and it's like kind of on the fault of the company interviewing you, like they come late or the conversation's choppy, they're more likely to honestly go to bat for you because they know maybe you didn't get a fair shake compared to maybe other candidates. So definitely MADE supported me throughout the interview process by kind of, again, keeping me sane, keeping me grounded, saying this is just what happens. This is the real world. Like you can't like combat it. So definitely helped me again through that kind of mental process through the interview portions.
Wow. Yeah, my story is kind of similar. My professor kept telling me that there's this program you should apply for. My dream company was always NBC Universal, and in the agency side, Ogilvy. And my professor kept telling me like this MADE program is really cut out for you. And I just never paid attention until he sent me the link. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I submitted my application. I, in fact, started in September, and it was a really overwhelming process, I must say, because you wait until February. And I think that the unexpected part of it is that you suddenly become so credible once you have been a part of the MADE program. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody knows you. Every company looks into your application. I had applied for another internship for the spring. And I know that if I had applied last year, I would have been straight up rejected. But they wanted to interview me to the last round, which was amazing, but I got my internship with NBC Universal. And then the interview process, mine is really interesting. I was super overwhelmed. I did not know if I was getting one or not. And my friends had their internships in October and November. And then NBC Universal reached out to me in, I think, Feb. I had my internship with Lowe's through the MADE program, but I knew that I wanted to do something different. So when I heard from them, I actually flew to New York because I thought this is my make it or break it situation. And one thing that I did was I took something for them in terms of my experiences. I had physical copies of maybe magazines that I worked on, and that really showed them my passion for the industry and that I really wanted to work for NBC Universal. So yeah, that is something that I did. And because I had another offer on the table, I got the internship from NBC Universal the next day. So I didn't have to wait any longer. That was nice. But yeah, I think one advice I would have is if you're really passionate about a company, for the interview, take something for them, show them that you're really, really passionate. We had a portfolio review through the ENA program, through the MADE program, and even she mentioned how they would like just send a little about me, like here's who you're going to meet for the interview before the interview itself, and that really impressed the recruiter. So I would really recommend that if you're really passionate about a company.
Awesome. And I do want to underscore the point that you guys both keep making, is that it is a long process. So most of our companies don't start looking at candidates until January, February. Some are looking now, but I just wanted to make that clear because I know I've received a lot of questions over the past couple of weeks. It's a tricky time of year for recruiting, and especially now with COVID and everyone is trying to delay like whether or not they're even going to have interns. So just hang in there. We're getting to you. We're working through it over here. Okay, so I think Alex Huang, you're next.
Yeah, so I have a question about like the data analytics. I think this question will be more for Rick. So I'm MIS major at Temple University. So I just want to ask like how you apply the data analytics into the marketing since I'm pretty new on that. Like especially you're talking about the digital marketing and some stuff. Like how you refer from the technical stuff to like the marketing area. Yeah, that's my question.
Right. First of all, you already have an upper hand because you were an MIS major. I'm just a data science minor, and I did that just to understand what the back end of it looks like. But everything in marketing and advertising needs data. You cannot take a decision without data. And the data background has so many disciplines. You could either be in the coding side or you could be in understanding what the numbers are and delivering an insightful story. And obviously you kind of understand that with experience and you learn that with experience. But if you want to get like an even more deeper understanding of how marketing and data both work together, I would highly recommend doing those LinkedIn Learning courses or even the Google Digital Marketing course. That will just really help you understand how they both correlate. But it's so important, and you already have an upper hand with MIS.
Okay, great. Teresa in the chat wants to know what the most meaningful skill you gained through MADE was.
I think for me, definitely my ability to like cold call or cold message, which I know sounds like maybe so funny to like the older generations, but I know like a majority of people on this call don't like talking on the phone, like picking it up and like talking to a stranger. So that I learned that skill. I feel as though I mastered that skill, not to sound like so cocky, but through my project 50 Coffee, 50 Days, I jumped on Zoom calls with literally random strangers and talked about like their life and like their career path, why some of them wanted to become doctors, why some of them decided to go into politics. This one person I interviewed is gonna run for House of Representatives in 2022. So like super like exciting, interesting, intriguing people. I think the virtual world, in addition to my MADE mentor, Sydney, just kind of propelled me to not be afraid to like send that message on LinkedIn, be professional, be warm, be personable, and you'd be surprised how many people like want to engage with you. They want to like help you. They want to have that helping hand. I know some people on this call I've talked to individually before through LinkedIn DMs, and we set up Zoom calls. So it is possible. Like kids our age are willing to help. Adults are willing to help. So I think what I learned is definitely the confidence of like cold calling.
I agree. I also learned the skill of networking and talking in a virtual world. And believe it or not, companies want to know if you can speak in a virtual setting or not. And that's why you have those video interviews. They want to know if you've worked on Teams before, and they encourage you to write that on your resume, which is so funny. But that is like one skill that I've learned through the MADE program, and something that maybe not a skill per se, but to know the importance of is empathy. It is so, so important to have empathy in a professional space, especially in this virtual setting. So I think those two things is what I would add to what Andrew said.
Okay, great. All right, Sandra Alves, you're up.
Hi. So I'm in the car right now just because like I'm coming from work. So my environment isn't the cutest. But I really thought what you guys said, like I really enjoy both of your energies, and it's just like amazing to hear that like a lot of these things resonate with college students, especially the point that I came in a little late, but I came in right when Ritika was talking about when you're on LinkedIn and you're seeing what everybody else is doing and you're like, and then your heart starts beating a little bit. But I was wondering if you guys, like, if both of you believe in like manifestation and how you guys applied it to your programs or like your set career path, and like how that would probably help like a college student who lacks confidence like believe in themselves a little bit, or like what's your advice on like, you know, just like gaining, I guess like faking it until you make it, but almost like faking it until you believe it in a sense. And honestly, like you guys are making amazing points. Like I keep making this clap emoji throughout this chat because I'm just like, yes, go off. But that's just my question to you guys.
I can hop in. First of all, thank you for tuning in from your car. Again, this shows passion, which is amazing. I think one thing, sorry, I completely lost track of what I was saying. I think one thing that I did was asking my supervisors for feedback. You know, you're doing something, but you're not always 100% sure of like whether you're doing it the right way or not. So I would always ask for mid-semester feedback or maybe like towards the end of the week feedback, just to know what you're doing. That's when they point out your strengths and your weaknesses. So one strength that always came up for me was being proactive, that I'm very proactive. And that's when I started realizing that my actions are speaking in that sense. And then my weaknesses, I try to work on them and try to get better. And in terms of like a mantra, I think it's always been fake it till you make it. I know it sounds like cliched and boring, but it's just the way it is. Like even before this call, when Sarah emailed us and said that there's like so many registrations, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be speaking with so many people. And I don't know if that reflects on the screen, but I was very nervous. But I guess fake it till you make it always works.
I was gonna say, definitely a unique question. I appreciate it. My kind of like mantra, I guess, would be Tim Gunn, Project Runway, make it work. So just make it work no matter what it is. And then going off kind of like that LinkedIn piece that we talked about, this is just how I approached it, not saying you will have to do this the same way. But definitely kind of, I get flustered, or I used to get flustered when I would see this outpour of just success on social media and why was I not living up to that standard? Just to be very honest with the 41 of you, you can be super supportive of those like who are not like jealous of. And I think those are like your really close friends and like your best friends, your ride or dies, you want to see nothing but the best for them. I think then going out from the center of the circle and you have maybe acquaintances, maybe someone you see like you have class together with like 2 semesters ago that you follow on social media, or all of these like second circle people. I think you definitely, if you have the same mindset that I do, that you get flustered when you see all of their successes, you need to like scroll past them on the feed. Maybe you need to mute them. Just don't invest that energy into something that makes you feel worse about yourself. And that's not to mean to say that these people aren't great and they deserve everything that they have. They 100% do. But for your own sanity, you need to surround yourself with positivity and with those who will uplift you as much as you uplift them. So that's just my quick advice with that.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'd like to add is that you should be a cheerleader for others, but you should also be your number one cheerleader for yourself. It's so important. Just like Andrew said, you see these success stories, you should celebrate them, but you shouldn't compare yourself with them, because like I said, LinkedIn just shows, you know, the surface. You don't know their story, and everybody has their own timeline. So just be confident in yourself, and then be your cheerleader. Don't compare yourself with others.
Great answers. Wow, you guys are awesome. Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. So I'm going to go back to the chat. Madeline has a question, mostly for Andrew, I think. So you briefly mentioned a personal website. Do you have personal websites, and would you suggest making one? She's a little unsure of what to put on one, given that she has very little professional experience. Well, and Rich, you can also answer this too, because I believe you also have a website.
So definitely I would go to, you can check out my website if you want, andrewstrain.com. And I like 1,000% recommend that you like have a website. You can like check out mine to see what I have. I have like projects that I've worked on. like passions of mine, like who I am. Like Dolly Parton's on like the front of my website because I look to her as like an inspiration in everything that I do. But regardless of that, as I was saying earlier, and I think the question also like phrased it in this way, are you doing as much as you can to put yourself above everyone else? And a personal website is where it's at. And I'm not saying you have to buy a domain, which again would be nice, but if you can't afford a domain, you can create a website on wix.com, wix.com. I created mine in under 6 hours. I mean, it was a hard 6 hours, I won't lie, but I spent 6 hours on it, and now people, like, they're flabbergasted that I have a website. They're like, oh my goodness, it's such a great way to kind of showcase your work and like who you are. It just kind of provides more depth and more personality to your like paper application. So I highly recommend that everyone on this call create a personal website, wix.com, super easy. Again, you can check out my website or Ritz's website, probably great examples.
Absolutely echo with what Andrew said. I think if you're starting out, it is like an overwhelming, process. But I think in terms of what to put if you don't have professional experience is any project that you've probably worked in your classes is something that you can put in there. And then something maybe you worked as a passion project, or even maybe a blog. You can start writing your own blog and maybe talk about what you think of certain marketing trends or industry trends. There's so much you can do with it. You don't need to have professional experience to start a portfolio. So I think the first thing you should do is put in your classwork example, and that should be a good start.
Yeah, and I also actually want to just piggyback on that. Having a website is really, really great. When we see that, we get excited because, like Andrew and Rich said, it just adds more depth. And again, if you don't have experience, that's okay. Make up experience. Like literally pick your favorite brand and do an ad campaign for them. Like it's a fake ad campaign, that's fine, but show what you're capable of. Show your creative skills and show what you're passionate about. So if you don't have anything, that's fine. Figure out what your passions are and show that on that site.
I want to jump in here too because
yeah.
So I have a website too, and it's been extremely successful for me. Like before coming to the AEF, I went into interviews and literally saw my website on the interviewer's screens many times. And I can tell you that when I was first building it, I was like, I don't really know what to put. I don't have enough, professional experience. But what I ended up doing that has been really beneficial to me is I reached out to every single boss I've ever had at, different internships, or, if I had an advisor at a club, and I asked if they'd be willing to write a letter that I could include on my website. So I have a list of like 5 or 6 references on there that, of course I can provide another one in an interview, but it's nice that they can just see that people are vouching for me already. So that's another idea for you guys.
Yay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, awesome. Josh, it's your turn.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the process leading up to the interview. Like what kinds of experience did you talk about? Like what kind of skill did you leverage?
Yeah, Ritz, you can go first.
Okay. I guess for me, I definitely had a lot of on-campus experience. I know the MADE program and generally all internships are looking for leadership experiences. So I was really involved in publications, whether that was a food magazine or a fashion magazine. And then obviously the competition that I took part in, I think as many opportunities that you get in your university, please take them. They will always help you in some way or the other. The media plan competition was actually very political. It was a public policy issue that I was working on, but I knew that I did not want to go into politics, but it really taught me the whole media planning side of things and how that works. Got to network with so many different companies, and you can speak to that you went to DC and that you met with Google, NBC, and like so many more companies. You have some material to talk to. And then those were, I think, and I had one internship experience at a very, very small company that was doing really large projects. It was a 5-people company, so I had very direct relation with the CEO and whatnot. So again, I think when people think of internships, they're like, oh my gosh, no, I want to work for a big company only. And like, if she can do it, I can do it. I think that's not how it works. Every experience teaches you something. And if you're getting an experience or an opportunity, even like at a smaller firm, go for it. It will in fact teach you a lot more than a big company will, like, especially in the beginning. So yeah.
And I think for me, what I did to prepare, I don't think for any, since I was so nonprofit focused and had so many nonprofit internships, I don't think for the MADE program or even for L'Oreal, I don't think I brought up any internship experience ever. It was all like my extracurriculars on campus, my academic classes. And definitely I think what set me above like everyone else is I have all these different things. So like student government, resident assistant, radio show, my own class, like tour guide, all these things. I was able to weave them together into a story and then present that story to someone and how it fits into the world of marketing. So I think you just need to reflect on your own experiences, because I know everyone on this call has them in some capacity. You have experience, and craft a story to how it fits into the marketing industry. And then I think you'll be put a cut above the rest for sure.
Yeah. And then also with that story, if you're able to translate what is something new that you can bring on the table with your experiences, always helps. So I guess, yeah, it's really understanding your experiences in depth and knowing what difference you made in that specific club, organization, or even firm, wherever you worked.
Okay. Batel, you're up.
Well, thank you for sharing your experiences. This is my question is kind of something you've mentioned, but I wanted to know in depth more about the website you mentioned. Do you suggest should it be more like professional, like LinkedIn, or should we reflect more our personality? Like I'm personally interested in painting, but that's not a profession that I'm pursuing. So should my website reflect my personality, or should I just focus on my achievements and things like that?
Do you want to go first, Andrew?
Oh yeah, because I love website design so much, like that's my bread and butter. I think it should definitely be both. If anything, lean more on the personal side, in my opinion, because whoever's looking at this, unless it's like your guardians or like a sibling or something, they're all going to be professional. So they want to see like who you are, like beyond paper. So that's why I have Dolly Parton on my website, because it's literally so odd. Just like, why does this boy have Dolly Parton on the homepage of his website? But I could talk about Dolly Parton for like an hour. And I think that brings a little piece of me that you wouldn't see on a resume.
I would also say the same, having a connection with both professional, and that brings out your personality. But I think it's also important to know that when you're applying for jobs, recruiters have very limited time to see your resume and your portfolio, 30 to 60 seconds max. So what really makes you stand out, that first homepage is what should scream who you are and what your professional achievements have been. So finding that middle ground is of utmost importance.
Okay, great. Well, we are just about out of time. We'll do one last question to wrap up, because Jordan has one in the chat, and you guys covered this a little bit, but any last minute interview tips that are your go-tos?
Yes, I think 3 of them is, first of all, obviously research the company, but then when you're researching the company, see what you can bring to the table. Like I said, see how your experiences translate to the job that they're looking for, and the job description that is put out there. And then second, show your passion. That could be in maybe talking about exactly the research that you did for the company, or maybe creating something for the interviewers beforehand. And yeah, I think those 2 are my go-to whenever I go in for an interview.
And then for me, definitely, I'm all about like crafting that story, like building that connection, but don't BS something that you can't back up, because an interviewer will call you out on it. I have been called out on things before, and it's so awkward. So just don't say something you can't back up. That's my piece of advice.
Oh, and one thing to add on what Andrew said, if you don't know the answer to something, just plain say that you don't know, and that you'd get back to them with that answer, because you don't want to say something wrong.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys all so much. Andrew and Ritika, you guys were amazing, like actually just perfect. So thank you. I'm sure everyone learned a lot. I even learned a thing or two. Like Andrew, that you love Dolly Parton. I love Dolly Parton too. So wonderful.
There we go.
But everyone, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot to us. And I look forward, hopefully, to meeting you all in person. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Oh, and if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me as well. Bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you.